My dad was talking about Roth IRAs are like in a sketchy spot right now.
Yeah,
Like they're smart to invest in, but like something about they were thinking about shutting them down.
yeah, they just recently changed. This is going to be terribly boring. What a hot way to start this.
I know I said I was ready, but it fucking caught me off guard. About crap my pants, bro.
Okay. Really, really quick 60-second lead in before we get to the interview with Cruz. I know that's why you guys are here. Earlier this week, I had a really good conversation with Madi, aka Kruzadar, as many of you know her, a perennial elite level content creator on TikTok, on YouTube, an enormous following out on Twitch. She's a freaking rock star. And we had a great conversation around being a female in a very male-driven industry, growing her brand, how she handles criticism, just some really great content for streamers or entertainers of all different sizes, content creators, and things I guarantee you can take away. It was just a lot of fun to do. But before we jump in, really quick, just going to plug a couple of my stuff. Number one, if you could follow and subscribe to this YouTube channel, that would mean a lot. All you got to do is click the little subscribe button down below, click the little bell, and you'll be notified anytime I upload a new video. Also, here are my other socials. I am live on Twitch every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. However, I stream a bunch of other days as well, kind of however I feel like it. So if you could head out there, link is in my bio, drop me a follow out there. It would really mean a ton to me as well. But enough with that. I'm going to jump right into the interview. Again, we tried to keep this as uncut and as unedited as possible, so hopefully you guys enjoy. Like this video if it was valuable to you. Share with your other content creators and your other friends. It would mean a lot. But here is my interview, uncut, unfiltered, unedited, with the one and only Kruzadar. All right, so I came up, so as you kind of saw, so I got a bunch of stuff that I would love to ask you, kind of get your feedback on, but then also the community did a good job asking some stuff. So we're going to start, and what I want to start with is actually probably one of the toughest questions that we've been facing inside of our community. During a lot of our streams, we do like top 5 rankings and top 5 favorite blanks. One of the most controversial ones we ever did was regarding melts, as in sandwiches. Hot question. Is a Cuban considered a melt?
I don't even know what a Cuban is, bro.
Oh my god!
I'm so sorry. Okay, so I love food, but I am such an uncultured food swine, dude. It's bad. Like because I haven't traveled really much outside of the U.S. in general, so that doesn't help. And then even on top of that, when I have traveled, a lot of it was for sports tournaments, so I didn't really get to like go a bunch of different places. So I'm very limited. Yeah. It's my apologies.
So give me then your definition. If we talk about the melt as a sandwich, like what would classify a melt? Is a grilled cheese a melt?
I would not consider a grilled cheese a melt.
Interesting. So where does the line go for you?
I feel like a grilled cheese is on its own. Anytime you involve like meat with it or something that's not just cheese, I consider it a melt. Like there's my buddy, Dean, he'll talk about it once in a while, is like he'll throw a tomato or a thing of ham on there for his like grilled cheese. I'm like, bro, that's not a grilled cheese at that point. The grilled cheese is just breaded cheese or breaded cheese at that. Like, at least that's how I see it.
But so if I throw bacon in there, does that count?
I would say yeah, probably.
Wow. Hot takes.
What if I guess maybe we could even like get specific and say it depends on the amount of like meat maybe that you throw in
meat
there.
To cheese ratios?
Meat to cheese ratio. Cool. If the cheese is
Cool.
higher, we could call it a grilled cheese. If the cheese is like half of it or less, it's a melt.
That's fair. So under that context, then I guess a Cuban would be. So a Cuban is basically, it's like a French style bread. It's a very specific type of bread. It's going to be shaved ham, oh my gosh, why? Oh, turkey, and then usually it's got like mustard and pickles and Swiss cheese. Yeah, but then it's like a panini pressed, right? So you consider it a melt, but people were like, well, is a panini a melt? Listen, this is a hot area of topic for a long time. We really were diving deep. Do you have Perkins where you are?
Mm-mm.
The restaurant? All right, never mind then. That's like my 101, like my top melt is from a restaurant called Perkins, which is in the Midwest. That's why I was curious if you had it.
The big thing in Illinois is Portillo's.
Oh, Portillo's is fantastic.
I've been in Illinois. It's only like super close Chicago area that Portillo's is in. So it's like I've only had it like a handful of times, just because I have some family that's from Chicago. But well, I should say suburb Chicago area. But I've only ever had their Italian beef sandwiches.
That's pretty good.
Which,
Do you get it with the meat in the middle?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
nice. Good, good,
So it's
good.
pretty damn good.
All right, you're
Yeah.
doing it the right way then.
Noah's always like, you gotta have the hot dogs and their
Oh,
burgers, and
they're
I'm like,
great.
shit.
We had
I
one
was like,
literally
never
open up in where we live now in that city, and yeah, it's not an every like month occurrence. It's probably 2-3 times a year, but when you hit it, and it's on point.
Yeah.
As you think about gaming specifically, let's go back to kind of your childhood. What was, as you were kind of growing up, your nostalgia game? So what was the one that you're like, gosh, this is the one that I immediately link to and remember as far as gaming as a kid?
Yeah. Quake 3 Team Arena. Like,
Wow.
oh my. Yeah. So I guess this is like,
what a game.
yeah, I miss it so much, but obviously, like, it's not, I don't think it's very enjoyable to really play anymore. Like, the community is kind of whatever at this point. Or like they have Quake Live, but it's not the same. Like, they don't have a lot of the old maps and whatnot. So that was why I kind of wasn't a fan of it. And Champions was such a letdown. They were trying to like modernize it with I could rant on for that forever. But no, Quake 3 Team Arena for sure. My dad got me into gaming. And so that was the first game that I heavily got into around like 4 years old, which that's not an appropriate game really.
Not
for a
at all. That's why I'm so amazed you said that.
So yeah, like 4 years old, which was whatever, but it's like the funniest thing. I was talking about this on stream the other day. Quake 3 Team Arena, I knew it was fake, like all the body parts going everywhere and everything. But you know what scared the shit out of me was the fucking the Fortress like pig music and The Legend of Zelda like Wind Waker on the GameCube. I had to quit. I had to stop because my anxiety and I was scared from the freaking pigs in the music, dude. But I could play Quake 3 Team Arena, no problem.
All day, every day.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this makes absolutely no sense, but thank you, Brain.
See, for me, I grew up, I'm the youngest of 6, right? So we had,
wow.
I had 3 older brothers, all of which played video games. So I grew up with, we had at one point 2 Sega Dreamcasts in the same household. Like, why do you have 2 Sega Dreamcasts in a house? It makes no sense. But for me, like growing up, it was, like Super Mario Brothers on Nintendo, like the one where you had the cape and you had Yoshi and you were flying. Like that was the one that hit it for me. And then as I get older, as I think about, like that next step, it was definitely like Zelda with Ocarina of Time, like on the 64, like that. Those are the memories that I have. So, I'm going from Nintendo / Mario to Quake Arena. That's night and day, which is really funny. Yeah. So when did you kind of decide, hey, I'm going to take like my passion for video games and wanting to play to that next level to say, hey, I really should start streaming. Like I want to make that leap.
So the first time I knew streaming was a thing. So I'm like friends with the crew and stuff now. But I watched them a lot growing up, pretty much from the Crewcraft days on Xbox. Like Xbox One, so like really old. So anyways, they used to have a contract with MLG. So MLG was the first time I knew about streaming, but I was like, they were the only funny creators on there and everybody else was like super try hard with COD and everything. Yeah. So anyways, their contract was up in 2014 and they went over to Twitch and I had Twitter and stuff by that point. And I was like, okay, I'll go check it out. So I downloaded Twitch on my computer and everything. Well, actually, I guess I think it was on my phone. I think they might have had the app. Anyways, I can't entirely remember. But I saw them on Twitch, and that's when I heard about it. I was like, yo, this is really cool. Like, you can interact actually with your audience, which they weren't really able to do on MLG. And there was just so much shit, like subbing and like everything was a thing. And partnership was super hard to get at the time. It was until affiliate helped a lot of creators out. But it was insane. Like you used to that was how you got your income. You had to wait to get partnership. And partnership requirements were so much higher.
Vastly difficult.
God.
Yes.
It was like you had to have 300 to 500 concurrent. And that was like the low end to get partnered back in the day, which is insane. It's like the site was so much smaller. It was like Mixer size. Like, oh man. But yeah, so that was when I was like, oh, this looks super cool. I didn't have the time really for YouTube and everything. Maybe streaming would be fun. So after, going on and seeing some of the creators, 2015, I was like, you know what, I'll try it. So it was a lot of fun. I actually never was going to use a face cam for a while. I didn't use one for about 6 months. Yeah, something like that. Because just being a girl on the site was a little nerve wracking because there were not, aside from Kristen, Kitty Plays, there really wasn't very many females that were on Twitch, or at least not popular. So that made me nervous. And plus I started out on my Xbox, so I didn't have a camera at the time anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the one thing that was like weird. I knew there were going to be people that I got pretty much like the first time streaming, like, rape threats and shit like that, just because you're a girl. But when I got my camera, the amount of people are like, what? Like when you fit a like societal norm and you have like blonde hair and shit, it's like, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Can we just like game? Like, I'm making goofy like the point I wanted to turn my camera on. I was like, don't get me wrong. There's like a value of marketing as a girl with having your face cam on, especially when no one used it at the time. But I was like, my reactions, my friends boast about that all the time, being an idiot and like making goofy, dorky faces and shit. I was like, hey, let's just move past it. Yes, I have a camera. Yes, I do have a face.
Yeah, I'm a real person.
I'm just the feminine god hiding behind the game mic, So that was cool. But so that was when I goofed around with that. And then November of 2015, I was like, okay, I'll try and do this more regularly. I'm not doing sports. I was kind of bored in my downtime. It was like my outlet to just cool down and everything anyways, because I had like an emotionally abusive relationship at the time. So it was like, that was also my escape. My friends kind of left me because he pushed them away. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really have much to do. So it was really nice. I had like an awesome online community that was starting to grow. And I met like all my buddies through it, and I started gaming with them and just streaming it. And it was a really good time. I was like, damn, okay, I can start playing more games and just doing this. It's with my ADHD, it's such an added form of entertainment for me. Like, it's cool that I can do it as a living, but it keeps me so entertained to stream and just goof around with chat. So. Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely been a crazier journey than I thought it would be, like, to your point, right? The actual amount of interaction that happens inside of the community has been awesome. Mm-hmm. Do you find yourself being able to keep that, obviously not to the same extent, but as you've grown to the level you are now, like the same type of interaction with the majority of your community, like being able to recognize, I mean, you have thousands of subs and followers, now it's like, okay, how much interaction do you feel you have / relationship building with those individuals? Like seeing the same people comment all the time.
I definitely notice the people that are regulars in there, and I know like obviously if it keeps growing, it's going to change a little bit, but I still recognize if I see like an OG pop around, I get excited. I'm like, hell yeah. Cause there's so many people that grow streamer wise and your OGs get pissed at you. Yeah. I was so nervous that was going to happen. And I only had like maybe 4 or 5 people do that were OGs. Everybody else has been super supportive. So it was really cool. A lot of them still stop by and they'll come hang out, or talk in the Discord and whatnot. But anymore, just because I have more work on my plate, and then also trying to disconnect more because I'm getting more hate as I've grown. It's just the reality of growing. Right. So it's like, yeah. So trying to not be overwhelmed too much with too much social media presence on the same token, balancing that. It definitely cuts, it back. But I still, a lot of the time I see it, it's like my family online. So even if people aren't around regularly, if they're chill, like if you're around repeatedly and I'm seeing enough of your like dorky messages, like bantering with me, like I'll recognize it, but it's not quite to the extent. But I definitely still, like, there's a lot of people that I've become pretty close friends with still.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, and actually, I mean, to that comment, so one of the, as you know, I kind of pulled some comments off. I'm going to use usernames because it's all the more better. So Dishrag on TikTok wanted me to ask you. Yeah. Okay. She wanted me to ask you, is there any value in looking at the destructive comments / feedback, trying to find construction out of them? I know you've had a very strong stance on, hey, I'd rather, if it's not positive, I don't want it. Do you find like there's any middle ground there at all? Or is it just, hey, you need to flush that out because you need to stay laser focused?
So there's constructive criticism, and then there's like, people being assholes. Constructive criticism is fine, in my opinion, but a lot of the time, the trend right now with the internet and people being malicious, especially more so on TikTok, their cop-out for what is deconstructive criticism, it's not constructive. It's just people attacking you and excuse to be hateful. It's not constructive criticism. People going like, blah, blah, you suck, stop doing this, that, and they're saying that is, and not being able to take people throwing threats at you and being sexist. They're like, you can't take constructive criticism. That's not worth listening to. It's not what it is. They think they know what the definition is, and they've clearly never learned it. Basic schooling, things you learn in like middle school.
Correct.
So those things aren't worth listening to, and it's worth blocking out. And, the assholes are going to be assholes. And you're the more or less the punching bag for whatever's going on with people's lives. But constructive criticism, if people are not being asinine to you and it's genuine feedback, it's totally fine. I have family, and maybe it's because I was raised this way. My family's super blunt. Like, it's part of the reason that I am the way that I am. We can tell each other straightforward how it is, and we're not going to hate each other at the end of the day. And it's just like, I treat my chat the same way. Like, if someone's being an idiot, I'm going to call them out for it if it's, worthwhile, that I think that they can learn from it. And I'm not going to hold a grudge. It's like, if they come back, they're chill, they learn from it, which 99% of the time that's what happens. And they're like, hey, I totally get it. Like, we're going to chill now, and I won't have problems from them anymore. So I would say it's like, I would take it with stride in that aspect. I had people say that they're hard of hearing and really would like more subtitling on TikTok. And I was like, that's really good feedback. I didn't even think about that. There could be things for YouTube. I know some people like more music in the back. Some people don't like music in the back. But at the end of the day, too, you have to take into account what you're creating is not just for other people. The foundation of that needs to be for you, and you need to be putting out stuff that you're happy with. If someone's suggesting something that is uncomfortable to you or that you just do not feel is right in your bones, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, for me, obviously I'm on a smaller scale, but you see a lot of it because obviously, part of my journey has been learning from bigger streamers, right? Okay, what do they do that I really like? What do they do that I really like? Or vice versa, what do they do that I'm like, that doesn't really match up? The female streamers, it's a double-edged sword. I was always under the impression, I was like, gosh, it's so easy to gain clout as a female streamer because you're just a female streamer. As a male, like if I see a video on the overlay and it's like, oh, that's a female, like how easy is it to just be like, oh, that's cool, that's interesting, oh, she's attractive, whatever. But to your point, what I never saw until I really started studying and learning it was the amount of negativity that comes with that. And actually the amount of almost false following. I had a really good conversation with one of my female streamers about just you gain a ton of followers, but those people don't come back consistently. They're not actually part of the community.
A lot of people follow for the wrong reasons. So one of the things that I've learned, both negative and like can be positive, as a female, if you're attractive, people will follow for the wrong reasons. And sometimes they'll end up being chill about it, but there's a lot of people that are not chill about it. And you end up having to ban them really early on. I have to throw my chat in followers mode because of the amount of like creeps. And there's a reason I don't go into the just chatting section most of the time. I love Twitch to death, but God, it's not moderated under that section between streamers and viewers. And so I don't want, my audience to primarily be built around that. But yeah, so as a female streamer, they did like some studies a while back, and I can't remember if it was under Commander Root, or if it was under someone else. But there's a bunch of studies that females are way more likely to get followers, but not to have nearly as high of a retention rate as guys do. Just because so many people will see female streamer and follow for looks. And now that there's more female streamers, I think I would be surprised if it's not going down, since people aren't as surprised to see females in the industry. But it was super taboo even when I was around. It's like people couldn't believe a girl was playing video games. I'm like, women helped make video games and like have been around from the start. I knew a lot of females that played and whatnot. And like my aunts had played with my dad like growing up, and so I wasn't something I thought of, especially my dad being excited that I was going to game, and a hobby that I picked up through him. So like even him to this day is absolutely surprised that I get the amount of shit that I do.
It's amazing.
Like, he's like this. He got me into Quake, and I got into MMOs because of him from Astrone's Call. And he's like, what? Like I had to explain it to him because I realized I didn't. This is something I haven't said. I'm getting a Rottweiler puppy, and I had an interview. I'm so excited about.
That's awesome.
But I had an interview back in March, and it was over an hour phone call. She's like, why do you want this dog and whatnot? And I'm like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, my boyfriend's gonna be going off to work. I'm gonna be moving out at some point here soon. I love my labs to death, but they're not going to protect me with the amount of shit that I get. If I'm like out on the street and someone's like following me, like I want a dog that has the natural instinct to protect me. So it's like, and plus I just absolutely love the breed in general, but it's like, things like that. And my dad was like freaking out. He's being overprotective, like, white dad moment.
Yeah,
like,
I get it.
And he's like, Rottweiler. And I told him, I was like, oh my God, I haven't like caught you up to date since I've grown. And it's like not one of the things you want to tell your dad either. But he's like, okay, yeah, get a dog that is like natural instinct to protect you. I'm like, thank you. Okay, we won't have to deal with this anymore. So I'm so excited for that though. I was gonna get it in June, but it's gonna be July now. So
COVID just delayed it.
Yeah. So, there was a different litter I was gonna get too, but I wanted to hold off just because I absolutely fell in love with like the attitude of the parents. That's so stupid. But she's like super vetted for like working and like show dogs and whatnot. So it's like, especially with Rottweilers that tend to have a lot of health problems sometimes. I wanted to be cautious with breeders.
I have an English Bulldog, many for the same reasons, protection. Yeah, he's 86 pounds of pure love. Every now and then on stream, I'll pick him up, and he's just so happy to be picked up. He's just like, this is great. No, but I agree with you. I mean, Rottweilers, much like Bulldogs, have a ton of health issues, right? So you really got to be careful and selective over where you're going to get it from. I know tons of people who get them just from a pet store, and yeah, you run into like almost from puppy mills, and it's like this dog is going to have major health issues. We were blessed to get ours from, he's a championship breed, so both of his parents were thoroughbreds, and we haven't had a single health issue, but that's awesome. I'm excited for you. I love Rotties.
Yeah, they're, oh God. I told my dad, I was like, I might get a male instead of a female just because I love big dogs. And he's like, oh my God, you're going to have a dog that's like heavier than you. It's like, can hold our dogs back, like no problem. But that's also, this dog's gonna be like 20 pounds more easily. So yeah, we'll see. But I can't wait.
That's fun. What, as you think about kind of, obviously, part of your gameplay has always been not just multiplayer online, but also like playthroughs, and full playthrough lists. What have been some of your absolute like favorite main story campaigns that you've played? The ones that stick out to you right away? Like if you had to say these are the top three.
Just on stream or off stream?
Either or. Yeah, just video games. Top 3 story campaigns.
So all time, the Ezio trilogy from Assassin's Creed would be my number one. I count that as like one whole game just because I feel like it's not fair to the whole Ezio arc to just kind of put it as the top 3. But Portal 2 is probably up there with top 5. I got that with my Xbox 360 and I absolutely loved it. That Assassin's Creed 2. Gears of War was okay, but I didn't like it as much as the others. And I never really cared big into puzzle games, but Portal 2 is a phenomenal game.
It's really well done. It's really well made.
And then Witcher 3 I just played back in 2018 into 2017. I absolutely love that. That's probably like my second or third favorite. Such a good game.
That's one of the best maintained storylines because that game is real. I mean, I got it when it came out, and that was like 4 years ago, and even now today people can pick it up and it has not lost a beat, which is incredible for video games.
It looks so good. I'm really hoping that Cyberpunk is like, I know I heard there were a bunch of optimization.
Heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, with Witcher 3 coming out, like we'll see how that goes. But it was so good. I know there's like HD mod that I played with that made it just a little bit like better, more up to date graphics wise. But it's like, dude, this doesn't feel like a 2015 game. It's insane. No, but that's really how I finally played like the first Doom campaign, even though I had 2016 Doom. I played the multiplayer on it. I was always scared because like playing Quake, I was like, dude, what if I don't like it as much, even though it's like, same foundation blocks and everything and same history. I was like, okay, so I'll wait. So I finally played Eternal on that. That's probably top 5 for me. Like Doom Eternal was so good. It feels so fluid.
My number 1, and I don't know if you dove in, my number 1 was Red Dead Redemption 2, hands down. As far as storyline campaigns, the final probably 5 hours of gameplay, which that is a beast of a campaign. You know what I mean? It is. Yeah. But the final about 5 hours where a lot of those cutscenes were taken shot for shot from like super historical, like either Japanese stories or like classic Westerns, were just the cinematic build is incredible when you talk about gameplay, in my opinion. I mean, it was revolutionary gameplay. My two gripes with it. One, I think if you were absolutely into like the cowboy shit, great. Like you should play that. Yeah.
I'm not too big into cowboys, but I still had like a huge appreciation for the game. The only thing was it reminded me of GTA. Obviously it's by Rockstar. But it felt like it would have been smoother on PC to play it with the aiming and everything versus like controller. But yeah, it's a really well done game.
It's a bit because I mean you invest the first 4 or 5 hours and do absolutely nothing. You're on a side of a mountain just learning mechanics of the game, and it's like when you take the step back and you say, all right, if this game has that amount of time to be investing into this, like this overall story arc is going to be phenomenal, which was sweet.
At least it was so well thought through.
Yeah.
And even like it cracked me up with him Arthur losing his hat all the time reminded me of like Woody from Toy Story. And so you become attached to your damn hat. Like it's, even though it's this like the tiniest thing in the game. I remember like me and a bunch of watching other streamers too. It's like, fuck man, gotta go get my hat now.
Don't you start. This is gonna hurt. Ask for it. I'm gonna beat your ass. I got Gonna enjoy beating you.
It's like,
Just everything as stupid as how well done like the fishing mechanics were. Like you literally would watch people who would just be fishing for like an hour on stream and you're like, what are you doing? Like this is the most boring yet the most amusing thing to be watching. What as you were first kind of getting started, what were some of the major influences or individuals that were influencing you as you got started?
Crew for sure was the biggest one. I watched Tim a little bit. I still watch him. He was one of the first people that I followed. But I would say like I really didn't. I mean, the crew, like I got influenced by like gaming and everything, but I didn't really heavily try to. I never acted or really looked up to like other streamers, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I feel like it's good in the sense of you keep your own personality and whatnot. There's just so many people that I feel like watch, not that it's bad, but watch Tim and try to exactly mimic Tim or these professional streamers that they see that you lose your touch of either who you are or you're not unique really to the field. So I'm grateful that I did that. I'll watch other streamers, but I wouldn't say aside from the crew, there were really people that I looked up to.
You paved your own path. There's nothing wrong with that at all, right? I mean, the only reason you'd be paying attention to other people is just to see what they were doing. And kind of like we talked about earlier, I mean, that leads to mimicking, right? And drawing on things versus if you're just kind of going at it with ignorance. I mean, ignorance is bliss, right? I mean, you have your opportunity to build what you feel needs to be built or do it the way that you want to do it, which is going to have more authenticity than anything anyways, I believe.
Yeah, that was, I think, the one thing that I did, like my face cam, the zooming, like I saw Tim do that, but Tim even took that from Cody, and Cody took that, I'm Cody. He's actually one of my buddies now, for like past 4 years. But he actually got it even from another streamer at the time. I think it was Synoxious. So it's like, it's funny how that even started about, but yeah, it's like a whole trickle down effect. Yeah.
How has, have you continued to grow? How has your networking kind of evolved inside of the community? And are you doing any of like the public events like TwitchCon or anything like that?
I went to TwitchCon last year. I don't think even if I got offered to go this year, I wouldn't go just because of COVID and everything going on. But in terms of networking, I'm way more selective now. There were a lot of people that had like screwed me over in the past. And like, I think that a lot of it is just they're stressed out themselves. So I get it. And so they're like, everybody's pressured to make it in this industry. There's some people that are like genuine snakes and whatnot, but I am way more nervous of reaching out to people. So I'd say like my networking's gone down like a lot. Once I started getting big on TikTok, no one takes TikTok seriously. So once it started going over to my Twitch and YouTube, and people were like, once I hit like the 300 to 600 concurrent mark on Twitch, people, a lot of the people that I thought,
TikTok's
or had screwed me over in the back, yeah, they're like, do my TikTok for me, or they were like trying to ask me exactly what to do, and I was like, dude, I don't have several hours to sit here mentoring you, teaching you how to do it, and then even then you're asking me to still like work for you, and I'm not going to do that. So that was that. And then also just everything going on with social media. I was like, I have to mass unfollow people right now. I was following like 300 people or close to 200 to 300 people at the time. And I was like, yeah, I gotta just do like clean slate. Yeah, I was like, if I don't, I need to keep it to people that I talk to on a regular basis. Like there's other people I don't follow that I still talk to once in a while, but it's like, if they're not my regular or fairly regular contact that I'm interacting with online, like I just need to take it back. That's the thing that sucks in here in the industry. It's like,
No,
it's
I get
it. It's like online LA is the industry.
Well, I mean, yeah, it only goes like, I agree with you. There are a lot of relationships that I have formed through doing this, but at the end of the day, the people that I trust at the core of it are the people I've been playing with for a decade.
Exactly.
It's the people who, we call them, kind of like you mentioned the word, they're my OGs, right? And so those are the people I've been playing with forever. I bounce ideas off of them. We talk about certain, like even before this, like we're talking about how do I do this? I got OG members who are taking time out of their day to spend time doing, like those are people I trust, because just like LA, like you mentioned, people will take what they want just to get ahead, and then it's done. Like they use, they abuse, and they leave. And it's like, that's not healthy, especially in a community where I'd say the vast majority of people are in good spirits and want to be helping each other. We need to be really focused on that versus just trampling, seeing someone else fail so you can succeed makes no sense whatsoever. None.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your favorite Bruce Willis movie?
feel like was he in
That's
Death
not a good
Race?
start. That's
No,
not a
I
good
know.
start.
I have to think. I'm trying. Okay. There's an actor that looks just like him that this throws me off. So let me just make sure I
He
have
was
the
in
right.
Death Race, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. Okay. Death Race, I really like. I'm pretty certain he was in that one. Oh yeah, he was in Pulp Fiction too. Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Sixth Sense. Die
Yeah,
Hard.
Sixth Sense as well. Die Hard, I never really cared for too much.
Oh,
I'm
at least you
sorry.
saw it. I thought you were about to say I never really saw it, and I was like, good God.
No, I've seen it. I just didn't like care for it too much. I would say probably Death Race, man. I really
Okay.
liked Death Race. I feel like it's such like a goofy movie.
What a hot
Yeah,
film. Hot takes.
it
Hot
is.
takes.
It is. I really like Death Race. I remember watching Sixth Sense, and but I didn't watch too much. I'd say close second was probably Pulp Fiction for me.
Pulp was great. Definitely. I mean, he's been in so many different things. It's insane. So someone on my Discord, username Skinny, really, he's growing. He's actually one of those individuals who I'd say we started streaming right along the same time. Our growth pattern has been very similar. He asked a really good question that I want to highlight here, which is, how do you handle, especially as a streamer, switching games and still gaining followers? Because, there is so much thought behind, hey, a lot of people tune in because I played this game. For us, obviously, it's very heavy Call of Duty. But we're talking about really trying to branch out and do more interactive and do different types of games. Do you see that there's a change that when that happens, when you switch over to game types or you switch over to try to build more variety, that you lose followers, or what's your thought there?
So I don't lose. I haven't lost any followers at directory. There might be some where I'm not getting necessarily as like many follows that day, but it's still pretty close because of offsite traffic. I have, even if it's not from TikTok, I have a lot of people coming over from YouTube now, or like even YouTube, Twitch going to YouTube, or TikTok going to YouTube. But the biggest thing of advice for that I can give is, I've always done variety for the most part, but I've seen so many of my buddies or, other friends or like people online in general, they hold themselves in a directory and they get stuck there and they burn out very, very quickly.
Correct.
Don't hold yourself to one directory. The thing that, I get really hooked on games for periods of time. I don't play COD all the time or nearly as frequently now, but I still like enjoy playing it a lot.
Subaquatica, baby.
Yeah. So I made sure once that was picking up enough and it was getting kind of stable, I was like, I need to start making sure I'm still doing variety stuff and people don't 100% expect that from me. So I forget exactly what I started throwing in there. I think it was like Apex, and I started doing some other story playthroughs because I was like, a lot of people that are coming in, even though I'm providing entertainment, they don't get to know me because I'm not necessarily doing solo stuff, which I also thought was important. So definitely like throw it in there. If you're nervous about doing variety, the best thing you can do is throw it in there as like a weekend thing to start.
The thing I love about your streams in particular, though, is that you switch games midstream. A lot of people will be like, hey, this is my game tonight. This is what I'm playing. And you guys will hop where you'll go like Subaquatica to Uno to, Call of Duty. And it's like, when you're building a following doing that, you really know that they're there for you versus there for a particular game mode. And that's one thing that me and a bunch of other, smaller streamers have been talking about is, okay, how tied are we to this game mode versus if we start branching out, what does that look like? So that's really good insight.
It's doing the fun and keeping yourself entertained, because that'll entertain your audience way more than just feeling like you have to play something.
That's true. Knowing what you know now, if you were to start a new stream right now in 2020, like you're saying, hey, I'm starting over, starting from scratch, what are some of the major things that you feel like would be needed today to grow that brand?
So this is the biggest thing, growing myself. And I know there's a lot of streamers that preach otherwise, and I think it's false. But your quality is better than your quantity. And I don't mean in terms of tech equipment. I'm meaning in terms of like content. Some of the examples, not whether you like them or not, the, XQC, Tyler One, any other streamers like Lyric doesn't use a camera, things like that. Like you can have a shitty camera, you can have shitty audio, you can have no face camera. At the end of the day, if you have good quality for your content, that's going to get you more traction than anything else. There's things that you can do differently, and you still have to try and figure out how to market yourself if you want to make it. But numbers aside, if your biggest chance of growing is just be yourself, and then don't dump thousands of dollars into an industry you don't know if you're going to like. So like if I were to do it over, I don't know 100% if, I'd be curious to see how far I could have made it without a face cam. more than anything, or I would make an alt account and not show my face. But I mean, aside from that, I'm very like, the other thing, like, with my motive of why I want to grow, I want to change and make a positive difference in this industry and get rid of a lot of the sexism and stuff that's in it. But, there's also a lot of stereotyping with parents that they don't know how to raise their kids around gaming and whatnot that I think could be worthwhile to educate. But that would require me showing my face. Otherwise, like, how do you grow? Like, at that point, to a face to look at, to talk to, and take you as a real person. But yeah, I would say biggest thing, like, don't put quality so high in terms of tech equipment. Like, focus on you, focus on the content. What can you do to make more people laugh? Think of unique things, like, even with what you've got. Not everybody can dump thousands of dollars. I didn't dump thousands of dollars right off the rip. I had my Xbox that I streamed off of.
With the app, or you go through your PC still?
Yeah. No, through the app. Yeah.
Nice.
It was good old 2015 days. Yeah. It was pretty damn new.
That app was so bad.
It was so awful. It was so pixely and everything. So it's like, talking to chat and just goofing around in the game and doing things like that. People stick around. I still have people from my damn Xbox streams, from literally Minecraft. Like, my first stream, there's still a couple people that come back to this day. And I'm like, what the hell was that, man?
That's awesome, though.
So yeah,
I'll also plug, your video on YouTube, which I think is also very, very well done about just growing your brand in general. And one thing that you mentioned on there, which I've stolen from you and reiterate and continue to communicate, is we've grown. I get this question a lot as people have seen, holy cow, how did you go from 0 to where you're at now in 90 days? It's just, you got to be doing it for the right reason, right? I do agree with you that folks that jump into this saying, I'm going to grow, like, I'm going to be successful, I'm going to make it. It's too easy to burn yourself out or get frustrated, or you have to be doing it for the right reasons of, I'm just doing this to have fun. I'm doing this to engage. I'm doing this to spice up what I'm already doing at home a bunch, playing video games and just interacting and starting to build a community that for the right reasons. I think that's huge.
Mm-hmm. People are really sick of the amount of like content creators that are bigger and like just doing it for the wrong reasons, and you can tell it's fake. Or the other thing is the amount of drama baiting that's going on Twitch. That's a big reason I won't even look out other streamers. And it's not that I know some of them don't do it intentionally. So like that, obviously that excludes those people, but there's some people that purposely bait LSF. That's been the big thing for the past like 2 years. And it's getting way more hot because they're realizing how much more it can jump them. But if you grow people around drama and whatnot, once you're not their source of drama anymore, either they're going to use you to create it, those viewers, or B, they're going to leave.
Yeah. Yeah. And that does not, it's toxic. It's a huge issue.
Yep.
So being respectful of your time, couple last minute questions for you. Number one is thinking about your brand, kind of what's next. What do you got on the horizon, planning for the rest of 2020, 2021 that people should be excited about?
I have merch that's going to be coming out soon. Hey. The final set. I know. I've waited so long. You and I kind of like have talked about that, like off stream, like, trying to get that finished for the end of this month. But they're sending me the final tests for shirts. Finally, I've had like lanyards and like beanies and coasters and stuff that they've sent me test wise that are like really cool. I'm so excited. But that's going to be like the big thing. It's going to finally see it like materialized in a sense. Because I had, with being locked down with quarantine, that's where most of my growth has been. So I haven't been able to like go out and physically see any of it, or had to deal with interactions by this size of content creator you deal with at this point. So it's like, that'll be really cool. In terms of like this year, I don't know really what else will happen. I'm going to wing it. But we'll see. I'm kind of like holding off on sponsorship deals and brand deals just because I don't think there's one that's worth taking right now. That I care to like morally and like sell my soul to the devil for that shit. It's like, I can sustain off this other stuff. So it's like, whatever. But
could be some puppy content. Sounds like.
Yeah. What?
Could be some puppy content.
Yes. No, I'm not going to do like vlog stuff per se, but I'm 100% doing some dog videos. 100%.
Oh yeah. You'll get lured in. Just wait till it's running around, and then how easy is it going to be to pop in stream or have a little camera that's going to pop up that's your puppy cam?
Yep, exactly. Well, and that's like, I've already got a dog bed that's probably too small for it already. But things like that in the office that obviously you can't see them on the stream. Puppy content, merch. We'll see how TikTok goes. The app is so fucked right now.
They just switched their algorithm again, and now they're doing
just an algorithm thing. Like they were trying. I got like told through some like third parties that have direct contact with TikTok. And they went to just go change the algorithm, and they fucked up a bunch of code. So what is that's why people are blocked under a lot of people's
You're
block
having
lists.
a ton of issues right now.
And there's people that have been force unfollowed and they're not allowed to refollow, or the app like bugs out on them. The other thing is it's just automatically shadow banning you or removing views. Like I'll have sometimes it'll show me that stuff's getting up to like 100,000, then it drops to like 38,000. That seems to be the number. And like people can't like videos, or if they like it, it won't register. They go back, it's removed it. And then the other thing was like what people were saying was because, or like behind the scenes rather, is they're trying to phase out of dancing being the more popular medium on the app. So I'm guessing if they didn't just test the code. I also think it's just if you're paying cheap labor for coding and you're not testing it, odds are you have some shitty coders.
Especially when you're rolling it out to that mass. I mean, you have to think that their user influx with COVID just skyrocketed.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the hashtag, even hashtag like Call of Duty went from, hundreds of millions up to now, 6.8 billion or whatever it is. And just on the amount of people who use that hashtag. But it's nuts. Yeah. But again, I want to thank you for taking the time. This has been awesome. No, I appreciate it.
It's been refreshing. I appreciate you being like chill and genuine and whatnot. It's hard to find in this industry sometimes.
I'm doing it to have fun. Again, I mean,
Exactly.
I'm just trying to build a community and network and have a good time with it, which it's been a journey so far, which has been cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I appreciate
you can take out from a mile away. I was like, I could tell. So
hey, we did it.